At Minerva Middle School, we are a public school in a suburban area. We have about 400 students and an average student-to-teacher ratio of 1 to 12. We are a multilingual school with different languages built into our classrooms. In our school district, we have no grade levels. However, we support middle school levels at our school. We have a year-round school split into 10-week quarters. We are a total self-sufficient school. We grow our own food and create our own materials for classes. We do not follow the Common Core system of education.
We have decided to move away from the idea of subject areas as they tend to teach material and be taught in ways that are too abstract for any real application to society. We have instead grouped our classes into 3 areas of concentration, or ACs. STEM teaches knowledge and skills in practical areas of science, math, and computer programming. Social sciences teach material in fields such as psychology, philosophy and religion, history, and speech and debate. The arts are where students both study and produce their own works of art, literature, cinema, and design as means of expression. Students take 2 classes per quarter from each area, which ensures an equal distribution of knowledge across. Classes for language instruction are not offered because each area has classes that are conducted entirely in one of several foreign languages: Spanish, French, Chinese, Russian, or Arabic. This means that foreign languages are taught by immersion rather than explicitly, which is incredibly important for learning and retention. Students are required to take at least 1 class per quarter in a foreign language, but may take more if they wish.
¿Qué son las características humanas y qué son las características físicas?
As it's my specialist subject, initially I was released 1 day a week and I went round all the classes and taught Spanish. From years 1 to 4, I think they're always just really excited about doing languages, so they're quite happy playing lots of games, singing songs, a little bit of writing. But I was finding that once they got to year 5 and year 6, they were a bit bored of that approach and they wanted to do something a bit more grown up.
Donde hay menos personas. Daniel.
Hay menos personas en el lago Titicaca porque hay menos edificios.
Excelente. Muy bien, muy bien.
So at the summer school I participated in the CLIL course, and that gave me some ideas about how I could make Spanish for the older children a bit more exciting and different. So with CLIL you teach another subject through Spanish, so it's not just discrete Spanish lessons, and I think it gives the lessons more purpose, and the children are learning geography but they're doing it in Spanish and it's appropriate for their age. It takes their learning to a new level. They're making real sentences about real things. They're not just sort of pretending to be in a cafe ordering food.
¿Dónde hay más luces? En el Reino Unido hay más luces.
Fantástico, muy bien. ¿Y otra?
And I'm teaching them about Spanish-speaking countries as well, so I think that enthuses them to know about Spanish and maybe if they want to travel.
Muy bien, muy bien. Bueno, otro grupo.
When I do my planning, I start with the geography objectives first, and then I think about the Spanish. I use the pupil assessment tool and turn those I can statements into objectives for the Spanish lessons. And I just make sure I have a variety of speaking, listening, reading and writing.
¿Es una característica física o humana? Maud.
Las características humanas.
Muy bien. ¿Y lo hiciste?
I like when Spanish is mixed with geography because you're learning 2 things at one time but only in 1 lesson, which is a really good way of learning, I think.
Classes are structured around activities that allow students to participate in their community, and students acquire subject knowledge through participation in these activities. For instance, in the STEM class Baking 108, students learn about fractions, measurement systems, and the concepts of mass and volume as a means to learn about the basics of baking, alongside practical skills such as safe kitchen practices, how to use various kitchen items, and how to follow recipes. In subsequent courses, students may learn about the biology behind yeast, health and nutrition, and pastry design. Students in the woodworking courses learn geometry alongside the construction skills needed to produce their projects. Students in the editorial arts courses learn about writing composition, grammar, and journalistic ethics alongside the technical and design skills needed to produce a student newspaper. Students in the gardening courses learn about plant identification and biology, soil composition, and environmental stewardship, while learning the practical techniques of the year-round agricultural cycle, in the process of producing the food that is picked fresh and prepared in the cafeteria to be served for daily meals. Teachers are free to decide when explicit knowledge or skill instruction time is needed, when it is time to apply that knowledge and skill set, and when they are best done in conjunction. Students receive several benefits from learning in this system. Content knowledge is presented in a socially useful setting, which ensures that the material teachers are teaching is never too abstract or removed from what students need to know. Students more readily acquire content knowledge by applying it to an engaging project and end up coming away with knowledge and skills that are helpful in society or helpful to the individual in their daily lives. By tying projects into the life of the school community, such as growing food that is actually eaten by their peers, or creating the publications that are read by their school community, students gain a real sense of purpose in their work and are able to take pride in the results.
Standards and assessments are critical components when trying to determine if a student has successfully learned the material that was taught to them. They allow teachers to analyze what students have specifically learned and whether they truly understand the material. At Minerva Middle School, standards and assessments are incorporated into the educational system and allow students to express and share ideas and what they have learned to students, teachers, parents, and people of the community. The school year is divided into 4 10-week quarters. The first 5 weeks of each quarter are basic overview of material. At the end of the first 5 weeks, students will come up with a topic that they will research and create a project for each class they are in. At the end of the 10-week quarter, each student will present their project. The project will encompass what the student has learned and will be an assessment of whether they have truly understood the material. There will also be formative assessments throughout the year to gauge the critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. Each week, teachers provide students with optional homework. Homework is made optional as a means to allow students to come to the conclusion that in order to pass the class, move on in their academic career, they need to practice the material outside of class. Completing homework assignments is encouraged, however, it is not graded. As classes are held between 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., there is ample time for students to learn and master the material given. It is our belief that any work at home should emphasize learning rather than assessment. Teachers review assignments in class to provide opportunities for correction and continued instruction, should it be necessary. Professional development is essential at Minerva Middle School. Each day, teachers partake in professional development within their own school. Teachers are assigned 4 blocks per day. 2 are dedicated to teaching, 1 is dedicated to planning, and the last block is dedicated to co-teaching with another teacher. This means that every teacher will have another educator present in their classroom at all times, observing and collaborating on ways to improve. This will allow teachers to both have immediate feedback and support within their classroom and to learn from others.
Throughout the course of the year with Mandy and I, particularly when looking at the scheme of work, so the coursework the students are going to be doing throughout the year, and before we've even gone ahead and started the first lesson, we will look through the scheme of work together. I will email the scheme of work to Mandy and she will give me advice and guidance as to where her involvement could be within the classroom, and we think about, Mandy gives me some advice on specific tasks that might engage the students, things that she's perhaps done in the past with students that need her support that have been really effective to ensure that they achieve the learning outcomes.
I always look at the planning and think, what can my students achieve and how can they achieve it? And I talk to Joe and I ask him to adapt certain aspects of the work so that they can achieve what they're supposed to achieve.
In between the 2 5-week halves of each 10-week quarter, students have 1 week off. During this week, teachers attend professional development sessions. The first 3 days, teachers gather and discuss matters particular to our school. These 3 days inspire communication amongst faculty and promote the collaboration of all teachers. Discussion of students is also brought up during this time. The last 2 days of the week, teachers travel to neighboring schools where they learn new ways to integrate 21st century skills, tools, and teaching strategies such as problem solving, critical thinking, and metacognition into their classrooms. Teachers also learn to identify different learning styles, intelligences, strengths, and weaknesses in students. This gives teachers a chance to learn not just about content, but ways to use imagination, previously held knowledge, and creativity in a classroom.
Language is used as a tool to develop new learning from a subject area or from a theme with a whole school relevance.
Going to the summer school and seeing Pippa's CLIL course inspired me, but we were shown just sort of one lesson, so I had ideas for one-off lessons I could do, but I was finding it hard to see how you could make a whole unit, you know, where the progression would go. So Pippa came in and we had a planning morning, and she helped me plan this Geography Spanish unit, and she arranged for me to go and observe other teachers teaching CLIL, and that gave me lots of ideas as well. She came in to observe me teaching one of the lessons that we had planned together, and she gave me some feedback on it, and that was really useful.
You've chosen things that are directly linked to a Spanish-speaking country. So there's meaning in learning about it in Spanish. It sort of all ties together with the culture. CLIL lessons are often taught using a lot of target language. We try to use as much target language as possible because if the lessons are well prepared, the children should be able to work out what's going on through the visuals and through the resources that are prepared. If there's any need to stop and explain something in English, that's absolutely fine.
Es Iquitos porque no hay edificios. Does that make sense?
Oh no.
How do we need to start our sentences?
And very often pupils will use both English and the target language and mix them seamlessly together.
Oh, I'm menos. So that should be I'm menos.
The leader of Minerva Middle School is the headmaster. The headmaster is supported by the Committee of Deans, a group of highly trained educators who discuss and decide important matters regarding the school. We place a high priority on faculty and staff supporting each other in their emotional, mental, and physical needs, and those of the students. To support students, there's an advisory program. Each faculty member is assigned a group of 10 students who all meet daily to support each other in everything from procedural questions to social dilemmas. These advisors support students and assist them throughout their time at Minerva Middle School.
Teachers want to be honored as professionals with wisdom and expertise. Teachers need to be treated with dignity and respect. In other words, no more bad coffee. If we want good teachers to remain in the classroom and continually refine their practice, we have to reimagine and redesign professional development. Instead of the convenience of top-down models or the one-shot conference experience, let's make professional development the home ground of collective inquiry, shared expertise, and inspired conversation among professionals. Let me describe what I know is possible and works. Professional development days, structured less like a string of back-to-back meetings and more like design studios in which teachers are given the time and the resources to work on innovative projects of their own creation. Seminars and workshops in which local artists, scientists, mathematicians, writers are invited to collaborate as professional colleagues with classroom teachers. Monthly gatherings in which kindergarten teachers alongside university professors, school leaders alongside district representatives come together to investigate everything from the foundational role of wonder or creativity in education to how we manifest ethical assessment practices or teach cultural competence and empathy in our schools. And finally, imagine faculty and staff meetings happening in schools across the community in which agendas which might typically be defined by to-do lists are redefined and offer time for teachers to read deeply in their fields and to reconnect with the vision and the hope that led them into the classroom in the first place. This kind of professional development is not only possible, it's essential, and it doesn't require huge sums of money, far less than the price tag attached to teacher attrition. What is required is a willingness on the part of the whole culture to reimagine teaching as a professional practice defined by large and spirited inquiry, engagement with complex ideas, and the centrality of teachers' voices.
At Minerva Middle School, each student receives a tablet that they carry around and bring home every day. On their tablet are their books, assignments, resources, and anything that the teacher gives them. This makes our school nearly entirely paperless. Students send their completed worksheets and homework back to their teacher. We encourage our students to research any questions that they may have using the resources on their tablets. We decided on tablets because they are easily portable. Our students take them wherever their classes go, whether that be outside, on field trips, or in the lab. For example, when the students garden, they take their tablets with them to record their measurements and observations of their plants. They may also look up why a certain plant is growing better in one soil than another. Parents at Minerva Middle School are not only involved in the daily lives of our students, but get to witness what their children have learned throughout the year. We encourage our parents to speak different languages at home so children continue to practice their language skills. Also, the school employs an online grade reporting system called Edline, with live updates as teachers submit student grades. The parents can then go online and see how their children are doing in classes and communicate openly with teachers. Finally, at the end of each quarter, students present their projects to members of the community, including their parents. Parents can then see how much their children have learned and grown in the last quarter. At Minerva, we highly believe that parent involvement plus school involvement creates student success.